There are kids playing in the yard across the road from my house and they're so cute, it's very distracting. I know that it's a week after the fact, but I did want to do a VidCon review, wrap up ideas about the 2015 VidCon experience. The first year I went to VidCon was 2013, and I definitely went with the fan idea in mind. I wanted to go to the signings, I wanted to go to the meetup, I wanted to meet famous people. So as a result, there was one day that I spent waiting in lines to meet people and didn't get to go to a single panel. I'm not saying is not a valid reason to go to VidCon. As I discovered the next year, it was not the best reason for me to go to VidCon. In 2014, I went to VidCon focused more on the panels and on the learning experience. I went to as many panels as I could get to. I think I still went to a signing? I can't remember. I found that year so much more rewarding because I got a lot more out of it that I was looking for than I had the year before. With the 2015 VidCon, they announced 3 tracks: the industry track, the creator track, and the community track. Obviously, I can't speak to the experience of a community pass holder. This is my experience as far as I saw it. I, for one, think it made the experience that much better for everyone to have the separation of creator and community. When I went to VidCon for the first time, I had the fan or community aspect in mind. Of course, back then, with the creator and the community still being one track, there was so many more people queuing for signings. When you got in line, you could be there for 3 hours and have no knowledge of whether you would actually get to the front of the line and meet the person you were waiting for, which is how it happened that you got people queuing at 4 in the morning at VidCon 2014 because they thought that was the only way to guarantee that they would get to meet the person they wanted to meet. Now, you know the signings you get, you can say this is who I want to see. You know that if you get a ticket to that signing, you are guaranteed, even if you're at the back of the line, even if you have to wait for 2 hours to meet the person you're wanting to meet and be able to have the interaction that you're looking for. There were a few panels that I wanted to go to in 2014 that I missed out on because the panel in the same room following the one I wanted had a couple of big name creators, and so those creators' fans would fill up the room to get a front seat or a safe space for their friends. So the people who wanted to go to the first panel couldn't get in because it was filled up with people who weren't actually even there to listen to what those creators had to say. Another thing that irked me, you wanted to hear what the creators had to say about the topic at hand. You would miss out on asking a question because someone else had already put up their hand and taken up time asking, if you were a flavor of milkshake, like what flavor would you be and why? If you could collab with anyone, who would you collab with and why? What's your favorite video that you've done? Can I have a hug? Which was very valuable to the person who was asking it. It had no use or meaning for the other possibly 300 people in the room who were there to learn about what the panel was actually meant to be about. This year, that didn't happen. The creator track was full of creators. They were genuinely interested in creating and asking questions about the process that goes with that. Look at this now. It also meant that with less people in the room, there was more opportunity for more people to ask questions. Oftentimes it ended up more of a back and forth. We were able to converse and discuss and to really get deep into the topics that we were talking about. It also meant that we were able to have workshops with our creators. For example, the Women on YouTube workshop and the closed captioning and accessibility workshop. You were actually able to sit down with the creators who you admire and discuss with them why they make that content, how you can make that content, what drives these people to make this content, how we can make it better, how we can make it more accessible, how we can reach the people we want to reach with what we want to share. I was also blown away by the amount of resources that were there for the creators this year. Working lounges, chill out zones, DJ room. What? There were so many things there this year that couldn't have been there last year because they just couldn't cater for the amount of people in the track. With the separation of creator and community, the brands that were there holding those rooms know that by creating this resource, they are reaching the people that they want to reach. I found that the security and venue staff this year were so much more capable than last year. Last year, there were security guards who didn't know what pass let you get into what area, who didn't know what events were happening and when, who didn't know when stuff finished. There were people sneaking in without badges. That being said, the security at the Hilton was terrible. We had some friends who were staying there, and on the Saturday night decided to go and instead have a couple of drinks in their hotel room. We walked right past the first security person. We went to the elevator because the lifts were very full. The security guard at the elevator stopped us because we didn't have a room key. So we turned around, went back to the elevator, walked straight past the elevator guard and went up the elevator to their room. What is the point of having a security guard? We could have gone anywhere. We could have gone to any room on any floor. I'll admit I was a little confused as to why on the Saturday, instead of holding the prom during the concert, they chose to make it an official event. In previous years, all the panels finished, everybody goes back to their hotel, they get ready for prom, and then they show up at 7 when the concert starts to go to VidProm. They took the concert, moved it back 3 hours, and then not live music playing at the prom. This is often what happens when a convention picks up an unofficial fan-run event and makes it official. They try and change it because they think that, oh, the way we do it will be better, even though the fans did it that way because that's the way they wanted it to happen. My friends and I also tried to be in the Disney Day VidCon photo. At the time we got there, there were so many people. There was no shade. They were standing so close together, there must have been so much accidental butt and groin greeting. They had plenty of staff to make sure the area was safe. The people who were in the photo stayed in one place and the people who weren't in the photo were back far enough to not cause any congestion or anything like that. They were forced to stand in direct sunlight for at least half an hour up until the photo was taken, and then just the mass exodus of sweaty, heat-exhausted bodies. So we showed up, saw what was happening, decided, no way! A quick vlog to show that, hey, we did go to the thing, and then we left. The Disney Day photo is always something that never quite works. Like, they do their best to organize it. Every year the Disney staff freak out. Every year people are crowded in way too close together in direct sunlight, sweating. I think it will be a very long time before we can figure out a way to do that comfortably and safely and efficiently for everybody. Some of my favorite parts of VidCon every year are some of the unofficial events. The secret show, blind date book swap, and VidProm until this year. If you went to VidCon this year, tell me your thoughts. Were you a community pass holder, a creator, or industry? How was it for you? If I think of anything to expand on what I've said in this video, then I will add it in the comments section down below. I know I've forgotten something. See you later! Women on YouTube workshop and the